I'm back under the shade with my wonderful animals. Ugh. Speaking of animals, so there was a statement today made by our vice presidential nominee, Jim Crow Joe. His statement saying that Trump is the only racist president ever elected in American history. and we're forced to vote for this guy, right? Jim Crow Joe. So, if anyone knows any history, just basic American history, we know any president between 1776 to 1865, all of them were slave owners. Now, as a slave owner, you do not find those slaves human. You are 3/4 of a human. They were chattel. Kind of defies what racism is. On top of the fact, we know that our first president, Mr. George Washington, would take out his slaves' teeth and use them for his. Even Abe Lincoln, who freed the slaves, had some slaves. Then we have Reconstruction. So I believe there's Ulysses Grant after that. And then the Reconstruction, I believe James Polk is around that era. Hayes, I believe. I could be wrong about Hayes. Taft. Jim Crow laws come into effect during the Reconstruction. We're going into the 1920s with Teddy Roosevelt, Panama Canal. He was the first president to, I believe, have not W.E.B. Du Bois. What was that sellout? Booker T. Washington. He came to the White House, I believe, in 1902. Either 1902 or 1903, somewhere around that, early 1900s. Again, Teddy Roosevelt, racist. We are in, I think McKinley's in the during the Reconstruction after 1870s. Forgive me. We have Coolidge, piece of shit. We have Hardin, piece of shit, racist. And our personal favorite, which a lot of people are just realizing, that Woodrow Wilson was, they had the biggest Klan march during Woodrow Wilson's, I believe, presidency in the early 1920s during, I believe, was it 1919? Hey! Lola! Please forgive me on that. Chasing dogs. Lola, come here. Lola. Now I have to hog tie you. Hey! We're right. Where were we? Oh, yes. Woodrow Wilson. And also, you guys recall Birth of a Nation from 1915? Famous motion picture was like the Grand All films of the early 19th century. Yeah, the one that started with the stereotypes of rapist black men and the black people being the boogeyman and like the fearful white girl. Yeah, that was also Woodrow Wilson. So then we are charlesting into the Great Depression, and then we have FDR. Now, we all talk about FDR and the brand new deal, but if you don't know, that brand new deal was not set for colored people. And by this point, when I say colored people, the Mexicans become involved, or excuse me, Latinos, because not just Mexicans, because now we're talking about Puerto Ricans and why Puerto Ricans cannot vote. That's actually in the 1920s. My bad. That's during, I believe, the Calvin Coolidge era, the Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover's another racist piece of shit. Moving on. So FDR, piece of shit racist, loved his policies. Then we have Truman. Japanese internment camps sound very familiar. And again, he's from my home state, which is Missouri. Didn't like Negroes that much. We're going now into the Eisenhower. Operation Wetback. That's during the 1950s. Eisenhower again, president during Little Rock in 1955, though he did send the troops there, but wasn't still quite a fan of the Negroes. Then we're going into 1960, which is, Kennedy. First Catholic, Irish. First time that actually the black vote was he went into black communities looking for the black vote. Quite popular. But also too, he's teetering on the racist spectrum, meaning that he had an opportunity to sign the Civil Rights Bill I believe in '63 during the March on Washington, and refused because he did not want that to hurt his reelection. Well, we know that he did not make it to his reelection nor his last term in office. Then we have our dear one that everyone likes to praise is LBJ, Lyndon B. Johnson. Now, he is the one that signed the Civil Rights Bill, and the Southern strategy comes in. So with the election of 1964, which is up against Goldwater, the Dixiecrats, which are from the South, switch over to the Republican Party. That is where we are now at the modernization of the Republican Party and the Democrats by the Southern strategy. And then we have the 1965 Civil Rights Bill. But here's something about LBJ. He loved that N-word. He loved to toss around nigger all the time. So, we go into the Nixon era. Y'all know, we already know it. Nobody likes Nixon, okay? Nobody likes him. He's a crook. He started the war on drugs that we are still dealing with today in communities of color, black people especially. The war on drugs was meant to, in the Schedule 1 with marijuana, his anti-drugs were against black people, Latins, and any liberal. But here's a fun fact about Nixon. He started the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. So he was a racist environmentalist. All right, then we have Gerald Ford. Nobody cares. He's a klutz. Moving on. I got nothing bad to say about Jimmy Carter. I wasn't born yet. That man wasn't a racist, okay? He's a poor peanut farmer from Georgia. He had black people in his cabinet. I can't say anything bad about him, though a lot of white people like to talk and diss Jimmy Carter because of the kidnaps and then I believe the inflation in the 1970s and the gas crisis. Jimmy Carter was going to legalize marijuana in 1978. Just things would have been different. So, have nothing bad to say about Jimmy Carter. And then we go into the decade that I was born, the 80s. So we have fucking Reagan. Everything about him disgusts me. Everything. His homophobia, his racism, his sexism, this greed, the capitalism, this breaking down of the middle class. Everything about Reagan is terrible. There are white people out there that are in denial about Reagan. Read your fucking book. Oh, and plus, when he was the governor of California, if you know anything about the gun rights here in California, him being governor in 1969 when the Black Panthers went up to the courthouse using their Second Amendment rights, Reagan said, oh hell no, these Negroes with guns and the fact that they're doing a lawful thing, we're gonna shut this down. Hence why California right now still has those harsh gun laws. All right. Oh, and then he also referred to black people as monkeys. And and states' rights was his campaign in 1980. And the town in Mississippi where I forgot the name, where there was a brother got lynched. That's where he kicked his campaign off in 1980. Oh, and the welfare queen, and then crack, and then the militarization of police really got full going during the Reagan administration. But then we have, who was his vice president, Bush Sr., who gets his one term in 1988 to 1992. Willie Horton ad, look it up. We go into 1992, Clinton, first black president. I even made a mistake of saying that as a kid, as a joke. Wooed black people with being on our city hall. I remember that. And then signs the 1994 crime bill. Now, I don't think Clinton is racist. I think he's racist adjacent. Just like Kennedy. Then we have W. 9/11. Katrina. I mean, Dick Cheney, Don Rumsfeld, all those fuckfaces, they were a bunch of racists. All right. And then we have Obama. I can't know. That's 2 out of 43. And then we have 45. But the difference between 45 is he's blatant with it. There's no code, there's no dog whistle. It is full on display. The difference is he's not hiding it, which you have to appreciate. But you too, Jim Crow Joe, can be part of that list too, because if you do become president, yeah, your record ain't so clean either, brother. You and Strom Thurmond, huh? Mm-hmm. Crime bill, the DSEG program of the 70s, this statement that just came out, Trump being the only racist president, okay. Well, I'm glad that we all had this conversation about racist presidents. Pick up a book. I actually learned a lot today by reading about the presidents during like the 1800s, because a lot of them that we don't talk about, like Tyler and I forgot to mention Andrew Jackson, which of course he is like, I believe, the 1840s. Me being part indigenous, the Trail of Tears leaves a big, the annihilation of the indigenous people here. History. It's what's for dinner. Read about it.